Have you read Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek?
No.
Again, another great leadership book, and he did a fair amount of work on understanding, the way
The
army
title
leaders.
says most of it, right?
Well, it does. It says a lot of it, and it's so intuitive on the one hand,
Mm.
but on the other hand, because of the way you still have a whole bunch of arcane leadership,
Yeah.
operating businesses today, what he says is still quite counterintuitive to the way the most organizations work.
But don't you think that that's because they culturally have the issue that bad leadership is something that is there, which means bad leadership lives at the top, and therefore it's hard to get rid of? Or
I,
because
I,
I have
I think
I
I
have
think
a sense you can a book like that. Couldn't you basically sum it up as in the leader takes the best decision for the collective, even when it's the worst decision for the leader himself?
yeah. Yeah, well, no, absolutely. I think that's the best way to sum it up. But the reality is that means you've got to have
Most
someone.
don't.
Yeah, well, exactly, because they're selfish, because they're egotistical, because they're self-aggrandizing. They're all about their own. It's kind of like politics, right?
Yes, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, it is. But I think it's like that. It's a dog eat dog world, right? You have
Yeah.
many that kind of likes that kind of environment where it's like we fight it out, and then you get that kind of me mentality, right?
Yeah. No, completely. Um, and again, it's all linked to the kind of incentive and bonusing structures that sit at the top. So they end up doing all the wrong behavior for all the wrong reasons to benefit themselves, not to benefit the organization, not to benefit the people beneath them. And Jim Collins's book Good to Great is a great
Mm.
example of that, right? Because he recognized that businesses that performed well, that exceeded market performance, had leaders that were completely unknown,
Yeah, and unselfish.
non-selfish. They weren't there to promote themselves. They weren't there to be, the egotists and the what's
They were there
the
for the business, not for themselves, right?
yeah, yeah,
Basically.
precisely.
It's a lot of
Yeah,
the same qualities that you see in the captain's class. That's just
yeah,
in the sports world, but somebody can't remember his name, but he analyzes sports team. Find the greatest sports team across all sports of all time, and then analyzes why were they great. And it's kind of that same mentality of somebody who just selflessly puts the team first, and then is skilled at what they do. Basically, I
hmm,
agree with that in what Collins says. He's really good. The interesting thing, I think, or one of the many interesting things, is the primary reason for that, and that is my hunch, that because you have a CEO who exhibit these characteristics, that by proxy means that probably every single leader in that entire organization exhibit those characteristics, and that means um, that you get higher performance all the way around, right?
yeah.
I could imagine, but it is interesting. It is interesting.